Have you ever wondered why we feel a pang in our hearts when we see a stranger in distress? It's a curious thing, isn't it? This phenomenon is what we call empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It's a trait that's uniquely human, and it's one that's deeply ingrained in our very being. Empathy is more than a mere emotion. It's a connection, a bridge that links us to one another. It's the golden thread that weaves through the fabric of our relationships, strengthening bonds and fostering understanding. It's the silent whisper in our ear that prompts us to extend a hand to a friend in need or to lend an ear to a stranger's tale. In our daily lives, empathy is our guiding star. It illuminates the path to kindness, compassion, and understanding. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Now, let's dive into some personal experiences that demonstrate empathy in action. Imagine walking past a homeless person on a cold winter night, their breath visible in the freezing air. The chill seeping into your bones is a stark reminder of the warmth you take for granted. But for a moment you stop and consider, what would it be like to not have a place to call home, to be exposed to the biting cold with nowhere to retreat? I recall an instance, not too long ago, where I found myself in such a situation. It was a typical frosty night and I was on my way back home. I came across a man huddled against a shop front, his worn-out coat barely providing any protection against the merciless cold. His eyes held a story of struggle and despair, a story that was all too easy to ignore for many. But I couldn't simply walk away. I felt a surge of empathy, a deep understanding of his suffering. It wasn't about feeling sorry for him, but rather an intense desire to alleviate his pain, even if it was just a little. So I approached him. We shared a conversation, his words painting a vivid picture of his journey. It wasn't easy to listen, but it was necessary. I offered him a warm meal and a blanket, but I knew it was more than just the physical comfort I was providing. It was the acknowledgement of his struggle, the validation of his existence, the simple act of showing kindness to a fellow human being. As I walked away, I felt a sense of profound connection. A connection not built on shared experiences or common interests, but one born out of pure empathy. It was a reminder that we all have our battles, seen or unseen, and sometimes all it takes is a small act of kindness to make a big difference. Remember, empathy isn't about solving someone's problems, but understanding their feelings, their perspective. It's about acknowledging their struggle, their pain, and letting them know they're not alone. It's moments like these, when we step into someone else's shoes, that we truly understand the power of empathy. Have you ever had a friend going through a difficult time, and you felt their pain as if it were your own? Imagine, if you will, a close friend of mine named Alex. Alex, a vivacious individual with a zest for life, suddenly found himself in the throes of a personal crisis. His father was gravely ill and he was struggling to juggle his professional commitments while dealing with the emotional turmoil at home. I felt the heaviness of his heart as if it were my own. His pain reverberated within me and I yearned to alleviate his suffering. Empathy, my friends, is not just about understanding someone else's feelings. It's about sharing them. I remember one evening Alex was particularly distraught. We sat in his living room, the lights dimmed low, the room filled with a silence that was punctuated only by the ticking of the clock. I could see the despair in his eyes, the worry lines that had etched themselves onto his forehead. In that moment, I didn't offer advice, nor did I try to distract him from his thoughts. Instead, I simply held space for him. I listened as he shared his fears, his guilt about not being able to spend more time with his father, the pressure he was under to keep things normal at work. I validated his feelings, acknowledged his pain, and reassured him that it was okay to feel overwhelmed. Empathy, in this instance, was not about finding solutions or fixing problems. It was about being present, being a silent pillar of support, and letting Alex know that he was not alone in his struggle. It was about creating a safe space where he could express his emotions without judgment or fear of burdening others. In the days that followed, Alex shared how that evening had provided him some solace. He felt heard, understood, and most importantly, he felt less alone in his struggle. We might not be able to solve their problems, but through empathy, we can provide the comfort of knowing they're not alone. Workplaces are not just about tasks and deadlines. They're about people, with their unique emotions and experiences. Imagine walking into your office, or logging into your virtual workspace, and you notice a colleague dealing with a mountain of stress. You see the signs, the furrowed brow, the constant sighs, the hasty replies. It's easy to ignore, isn't it? To say, well, that's not my problem. But empathy nudges you to respond differently. Now picture this. You walk over to their desk or send them a private message and you ask, hey, is everything okay? It's a simple question, but it carries the weight of your concern, your willingness to understand their struggle. Maybe they open up about a personal crisis, a sick family member, a financial worry. You listen, you don't offer solutions, not just yet, because empathy is first about understanding, not fixing. And then you do what you can. Maybe you offer to take on some of their workload, or you suggest a helpful resource. Perhaps you just assure them that it's okay to take a break, to take care of themselves. You help them see that they're not alone in their struggle. But empathy at work isn't just about one-on-one interactions. It's about fostering a culture of understanding and support. It's about recognizing when a team member feels left out and inviting them into the conversation. It's about noticing when the entire team is feeling the pressure and finding ways to lighten the load. Empathy at work is about the small gestures that say, I see you, I understand, I'm here to help. It's about creating a space where people feel valued, not just for their work, but for who they are as individuals. In the end, empathy in the workplace is not just about making work easier or more enjoyable. It's about helping each other grow, both professionally and personally. It's about building a community that thrives on mutual respect and understanding. Empathy in the workplace doesn't just build better teams, it builds better humans. Empathy isn't always about grand gestures. It's also in the small, everyday actions we often overlook. It's in the smile you give to the tired barista as you grab your morning coffee, acknowledging their hard work. It's in the patience you show when the elderly neighbor takes a little too long to find her keys, recognizing the challenges that come with age. Empathy shows itself in these simple acts of kindness that may seem insignificant, but can make a world of difference for those on the receiving end. It's the comforting arm you offer a colleague who's had a tough day, or the encouraging words you give a friend who's doubting their abilities. These gestures, though small, are powerful expressions of empathy. They show that you understand, you care, and you're there. Think about the last time you held the door open for a stranger or let someone go ahead of you in the queue. Those are moments of empathy. You put yourself in their shoes, understood their situation, and acted accordingly. It's these everyday acts of empathy that build bridges between us, fostering understanding and connection in our daily interactions. Consider the power of active listening, a crucial aspect of empathy often overlooked. When you actively listen to someone, you're not just hearing their words, you're understanding their feelings, their perspective. You're giving them a space to express themselves, showing them that their thoughts and feelings are valid and important. It's a simple act, but it carries a profound message of empathy and understanding. It's also about respecting differences, recognizing that everyone has their own story, their own struggles. It's about accepting people for who they are, without judgment or prejudice. This is empathy in action, in our everyday lives. Remember, empathy isn't just about grand gestures. It's about the small actions, the simple acts of kindness that we often overlook. It's about understanding someone else's perspective and showing them that they're seen, heard, and valued. These small acts of empathy are what truly make a difference in our day-to-day lives. So, what exactly is the power of empathy? Let's recap. Empathy is more than just a feeling, it's a way of life. Through the struggles we don't see, to the friends who need us, to our professional lives, empathy plays a crucial role. It's the invisible thread that connects us all, making our relationships stronger and more meaningful. In the workplace, empathy fosters a harmonious environment, leading to increased productivity and job satisfaction. It's the bridge that closes the gap between colleagues, turning a group of individuals into a cohesive team. In our everyday life, empathy is the gentle nudge that inspires us to lend a hand, to listen, to care. It's the silent force that helps us see beyond ourselves, to understand the world through the eyes of others. Remember, empathy isn't just about understanding others' feelings, it's about sharing them, and in doing so, making our world a little bit kinder